Welcome to Stella Studio. I'm Stella Jurgen and I'm an artist. Today's show is dedicated to miniature art, and my guest's passion is to sculpt famous people into tiny sizes. How cool is that? Stay with me to find out more. Let's meet with Juliana LePine. She's a sculptor in miniature sizes, and we're here in her studio in St. Catharines. This is going to be my best interview ever because I love miniature, the miniature world you create. Juliana, thank you for having us in your studio today. It's quite a pleasure.
Thank you for this interview. I'm very happy to have you here.
So we're going to talk about your life. How's that?
I have a lot to talk about it.
You came from Brazil?
I did, but I already lived in 6 different countries as well. My son's father was a soccer player, and so we travel around the world like he was playing in different places, and I just went with him. So I lived in Lebanon, in South Korea, in Switzerland, in Spain, and Canada and Brazil.
Now tell me about when you came to Canada. Were you always thinking that you were going to do sculptures like this? Were you going to make this your life?
No, not at all. I had no idea. I was an actress in Brazil, and I came to Canada to visit my sister. I had no intentions to stay in Canada. My sister, my mom, and my grandmother lived here, and I wanted to, take a break. So I came to visit them, and I was supposed to stay only for 6 months. But then I've met my husband.
They always do it to us, don't they?
So I met him, and then I decided to stay. I actually got pregnant. And that's how I kind of started. I wanted to make a cool, fun cake topper for us, so I kind of made a joke of a shotgun wedding. And then the cake topper was a big hit at the wedding. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do here because my English was horrible when I just moved here, so I could not act at all. And all of that happened, and then everybody loved the cake topper, and I needed to do something, so I was like, well, maybe I can do cake toppers for selling, and then that's how I started.
But I saw the cake topper, and it was so perfect. It was so detailed, so beautifully done. How did you learn how to do that?
My mom has always worked with crafts, so she was very crafty since I'm little. So we were always playing around with papier-mâché and all this type of things, or drawing or painting. And then when I worked with theater, I actually made my own company, and I would make all the puppets and scenario, and so I've never stopped making things, whatever, with different material. And I think that background kind of gave me the creativity to if I need to do something for my miniatures, for example, a glass cup, so I can come up with an idea different that it's from my background for working with different material. I think that's it. It's pretty much like life experience. But when I started the cake topper, I wanted more anatomically correct, and I wanted to practice portraits. That's why I started working with celebrity too.
So the cake topper is actually you and your husband?
Yeah, it's me and my husband, and I have the same dress that I got married. He has his favorite outfit back then. He was really young when I married him, so I just made a joke.
You haven't changed a bit.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, it was fun, and was a hit. Everybody was just taking more pictures of the cake topper than of me.
And so from the cake topper, you decided to try other figures?
My husband thought I should go to a wedding fair to show my work, in a decent spot. So he got a booth for me as a surprise. I had nothing to show when he bought the booth.
You had one cake topper.
I had the cake topper, and I had a few work, but nothing. I needed to have samples for the cake topper, right? So I started working on it, and I wanted something that people could see and recognize them. So I thought I just should make famous people. So I made Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt as Mrs. Smith, and I made Prince William and Kate. So, famous couple that people could walk to the booth and recognize them. That's why I started kind of like making celebrities. It was more to train the portrait, and when I post picture, everyone know them, so they could compare the person and the portrait and see if it's good or not.
And it was good.
At the beginning, it was not so good. But yeah, slowly start getting better, and I hope it will still get better. I'm still working on it. I'm always trying to improve and get better. I also like to change a little bit around and don't just focus on that. So I made like a blue witch, so she's not a person. I just made up a face. I don't like to just define myself as an artist, like that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I'm going to do portraits of celebrities, or I'm going to do dolls, and they're always going to have this type of hair. I don't know. I don't know what's going to be next.
You like to experiment and you like to be free.
Exactly. I like to keep this freedom and just do what I feel like doing. And if people like it, good. If they don't like it, it's like I need to like it. It got 86 million views just on my Facebook page, almost 10 million views overnight. And after this video, I reached some international popularity. I don't have a team to make my videos, so I had to learn all the steps. I sculpt while I record them, I set up the lights, I edit. I'm not a professional video maker, but I'm always trying to learn and improve. I'm a teacher, but I'm also a student.
You made a lot of figures by now. How many did you make?
Yeah, usually in a year, if I'm just working with this very realistic, detailed things, I go for like, I can do 15, 20. But usually I don't do just the figurines, because I make my own videos, I record them, I edit them, I take care of my social medias, and I'm a mom of 3 kids, and 2 of them are young. So I also have like all these chores.
And I bet your kids love that you are an artist.
They do. They're quite artistic as well, the 2 girls. The boy is not at all. The boy doesn't want anything to do with art. But my 2 girls are very artistic, and they do sculpting already. They have their own YouTube channel.
Oh, but that's fantastic. They're famous already. Now, did you learn how to do this?
Practicing and struggling and making mistakes, throwing some out in the garbage. And
there wasn't really a school you attended or a specific course. You just learned and tried a few things, yeah?
Yeah, it was YouTube, a lot of YouTube videos. I've learned on YouTube a lot. And Facebook group, Anatomy for Sculptures. It's a page, and they have also PDF books, so I got the book. After I've done Fred Mercury, I feel a little bit pressure because it was such a big deal and everybody kind of had their eyes on me, and I felt pressure to study some more. So I took some online courses with the Stan Winston School, and it was really good with the George Ushell, but just online classes, and that was after Fred Mercury, so it was just to, get better.
So Fred Mercury was one of your best ones after the cake topper?
Well, I don't consider my best sculpture, but it was definitely the most famous, popular view, and I got 86 million views just on my Facebook page. Yeah.
That's amazing, girl. Oh, I don't know how you did this.
I don't know either, because I recorded on my studio back in Calgary. That was just a walk-in closet. That was
A
the
studio
only
and a
place.
walk-in closet. Yeah, that's...
I made my walk-in
See?
closet into a studio. So if I open my arms like that, I could touch the two walls. So it was like very tiny studio. And
Well, you have tiny little figures. You don't need a big space.
I think that's why I kept with the miniature, because I work in such a mini space.
Tiny little space in a closet.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, the studio is really beautiful. It's much bigger than a closet, and I congratulate you for this nice, lovely space. Tell me a little bit about your process. I know you start really from the bare minimums.
Yeah, well, that's how I do now. But again, I don't know if I'm going to be doing that forever, but I've been doing for a long time with the skeleton, with the resin skeleton. So I sculpted those skeletons myself and then made a mold, and I make them out of resin.
And then you dress them up with
and
the
then I put the skin, I put the muscle. Yeah, I put all everything that must go on the skull. And at the beginning, I didn't use a skull. I have quite a few online classes from when I started that are just like tin foil as a base. But then my students had a hard time keeping the right proportions and symmetry.
Can you put a brain inside my skull? Sometimes there's nothing there.
Not as good as yours. But yeah, the skeleton, it was more because of this, to help the students out, and obviously to help myself too. So I was like, well, that's kind of...
It does help a lot with the movement, right? Because if you need a certain pose...
Yeah, it helps to keep the right proportion, and then you don't... Because that's the thing, like sometimes when my students, and even myself as a beginner, I would make that mistake too, like when we bend the arm, like some students would kind of bend the bone a little bit too. Or make the arm longer so the arm can reach something, and then the skeletons, you can't do that. So you have to figure out how to move the body in the right position so you can reach that. Like especially for the cake toppers, like when the couple are doing this, my student would be like giant arms, so the groom could reach the shoulder, and then so you have to actually move the body with the arm to reach, and then that's the skeleton really helped with that.
And the clothes, you obviously do some research about what they are wearing in a certain specific situation, and you go and make the clothes too.
If I am making a celebrity, yes, usually I do an outfit that they actually wear at some point. I usually search the outfits that I can see better in close views of the outfit or different angles, so I can actually see the 3D. So some outfits I really like, but there's not enough pictures, so I can't use it. When I used to do at wedding cake toppers, then the bride and groom would send the outfit and I would do exactly the same thing. So there's a lot of research about what's the best material to do this kind of dress, you know, to look more like it. And if it's just a sculpture that I'm creating, then I'm free to use.
Now, for example, this doll over here from Back to the Future. How do you decide what the back looks like? Because usually you see pictures of the front, right?
Yeah.
So how do you do the back?
I had to research for pictures, and I found the picture, and then it's actually the same as the character.
This doll was signed by Christopher
Yes,
Lloyd.
it was such a coincidence. I made him because my daughters were watching. We were watching as a family, like all the Back to the Future trilogy, and then they loved it, and I love too. Obviously, like who doesn't? And then I decided to make him, and then I found out he was actually coming to my city, when I was in Calgary. And then I was like, okay, now I have to bring it to him. Like I wanted to show him more. And then,
how did he feel about that?
Oh, I felt great. It was awesome. He was a sweetheart, and then he was asking me questions like, oh, did you do that? And I was like, yeah, I did. Yeah, it was really. It's good when you can show the person. You can see them looking at themselves, and then like, wow. It's a good feeling. Yeah.
Yes, it is true. Now he has a little man of himself.
Yeah.
That is very, very amazing. What materials do you use?
Like for those dolls, I use Polymer Clay. I use a brand named PV Clay. That is my favorite. It's a Brazilian brand. Polymer Clay are very different from each other if you change the brand. That's why I am mentioning. A lot of people want to know which brand I use. And also it's the only vegan one, and I'm vegan. Polymer Clay for the body. And usually, sometimes, like most of the times, I use real fabric for the clothes, or a thread, like sewing thread for the hair.
The hair.
Yeah, I use like a type of a sewing thread. Sometimes I buy synthetic hair, it's like viscose, but I prefer making my own. So it's just a sewing thread for the overlock type that is like it opens in a bunch of threads, so I just brush it, and then I can mix different threads to reach the color that I want.
I never work with polymer clay at all. Do you have to bake it afterwards?
Yes.
How does it work?
Yes, we have to first condition the clay because it comes very hard on a block, and then you have to work on I put on my pasta machine here and have to like work until it gets soft. And then you sculpt, and then you put in the oven, which makes it, you have to be very careful to avoid air bubbles so it doesn't crack in the oven.
How many sizes do you make?
I work with 18 centimeters and 24 centimeters.
I noticed you have a beautiful collection dedicated to women for domestic violence. Can you tell me all about that?
Sure. That was right after I sculpted Fred Mercury. Someone from a nonprofit organization saw that I worked on a skeleton, and they had just found a body of a woman after a couple of years buried on her strange husband's backyard, and she asked if I could resculpt her on the skeleton so the family could have a proper burial. But that's not the type of work I do, and I've never done like a real size figure, especially it's not really, polymer clay is not ideal for doing that. And then I told her like, well, that would be really complicated for me to do, so I offered her to make a doll of the lady and then could at least have something for the burial. And then together we thought that would be a really good idea to make a series of dolls talking about domestic violence. I was a victim of domestic violence myself, and then that really touched me when she approached me. And then I was about to start a class with my students, and then I decided to start this project involving the students, because most of my students are female. And then I made 5 dolls with the students. And then it was just too rush. I was getting too fragile, too sensitive, because I get involved with everything, and the students. Eventually, we find out that a lot of us had some sort of abuse, small or big, in their lives, and I was like really impressed to see like how common it is. And also, we were researching stories because we were sculpting real stories, and then when you start researching those things, it's like, whew, it's heavy. It's really, really sad.
And you find that going through the process, it helped you somehow overcome that?
No, when I started myself, I was already, I had overcome before that. I was already healed, and I have a wonderful husband.
Did it help other women?
Yes, that was more to help other women, because I overcome, and then I wanted to help them to do the same, especially the ones that are still in a relationship and they didn't realize that it's abusive.
And actually, making art, it is healing on its own, and plus with a subject that touches you, it really makes your emotions go deeper, and you become really sensitive about it, just like you mentioned it. So it's really great that you did that, and I'm sure other women have overcome their feelings as well after this exercise, don't you think?
Oh, I know that it happened, because when I was doing the first doll, one of my students opened up to me and she told me her story, and she's my second doll. I made her. So she didn't want to tell anyone at the beginning that it was her. So she still wanted me to use her name though, but not telling it was her. And at the end of this project, she ended up telling everybody that it was her. She was so proud of it. And then after she told me that she met the abuser in person, and for the first time she didn't feel any fear. And she changed, like I could tell, like she was very like a person that I've met her in person, and she kind of wanted to be invisible, you know. She's a beautiful woman, and she wanted to be invisible. And after this project, she didn't want to be invisible anymore. She was showing herself, and she was proud of who she was. And so
you should be proud of actually leading a project like this and making people feel so good about it. Congratulations.
Thank you. And that's
really
priceless,
good,
right? Like it doesn't matter. Like that was enough for make all the project worth something. Just to know that I could heal one person.
And after this project, what did you do?
I still made another doll after, and we made a documentary. This project is still going on. I have plans to do an exhibition of the dolls in Toronto with the documentary as well. And then after having a conversation, invite some groups, people that can help them, either other victims that could get away of this relationship, and then show some strength. And you know, there's always something that we don't know what's going to happen, but yeah, this is a project that we are actually now planning to, like, it's on the paper, but hopefully this year we can make it happen.
Now, do you miss being an actress?
I don't even know if I could act anymore. It's been so long. I'm in Canada.
Try.
No, I can't. I need a character.
Well, pick one.
I was actually very shy. I always needed a character to go in public, and I actually started being an actress because I was shy, and I wanted to break that down, and I ended up being an actress for years and did a lot of plays, did some things like on TV, small things on TV, and movies like cinema. Right, I probably could if I get a script. Not in English though. In English, I don't feel.
I think you're amazing. You can do it in any language if you wanted to.
I don't know. I wouldn't be able to improvise in English. I think. I don't know. I would get nervous.
I think you're doing just great. You also teach your craft of making miniature sculptures, right? Where can we find you, and how do you do this?
I have two different. I have different ways actually to teach. I have. You can sign my YouTube channels as a student. So I have in Portuguese and in English, and both of them people can sign as a student. So it's like a signature that YouTube offer, and then you pay monthly for that. And I have in Portuguese is the same thing. The students can just sign up as a student. And I also have a Patreon account where it's just for class. I use Patreon a little bit different that majority uses. It's just like my classroom. So it's also monthly, and then I go every once a week live streaming with the students. The students actually join me in the classroom, so they can also show me what they're doing. And Patreon is www.patreon.com/Juliana LePine. And yeah, so I do weekly classes in English and weekly classes in Portuguese. I still don't have a Spanish one. I have a lot of people asking me for Spanish ones, but I haven't.
Yo puedo hacerlo en español.
Sí,
¿Sí?
Yo hablo español también, pero hace tiempo que no platico, no me siento confortable.
Ya veo que sí, estás muy confortable con todo lo que haces.
Gracias.
Juliana, I know you probably are going to exhibit your collections, or is it just one collection?
Yeah, right now I have this the project Domestic Violence project going on, and we will have an exposition with a documentary in March at the Serbian Heritage Academy of Canada in Toronto. You guys can check on my website or on my social medias. It will be advertised, and you're all invited. I'd love to have you there.
And besides that, any future plans?
Kind of wanted to take a break of so much realism and details, so I try to do something more like free. And also I just went zero waste. I'm trying to be zero waste for a while, and I cut all plastic, trying to cut all plastic. It's hard. And all the plastic that I've been not able to don't buy, I've been saving, and then I made these sculptures that they have plastic inside, so I didn't put at least I'm taking care of my own garbage, so I didn't put my plastic in the garbage. I reused them and made these beautiful dolls with the plastic and covered the plastic with something.
So that's a brand new collection you came up with.
It's a brand new collection.
That's really good. I
love
love it. I'm loving it already.
Thank you. I do too, and that's it's important to me. Like I'm really into this.
Reusing your garbage.
At least my own, I'm going to take the best care as I can and try to reduce as much as I can. It's not easy when you have young children, especially crafty young children, but I'm doing my best. So because there's a lot of plastic that it says it's recyclable, but when you put in the garbage, you have no guarantees that it will actually be recycled. And when I found that out, because I always recycle, but I find out that they don't really get recycled, so I really started like trying hard to don't throw it away.
Reuse everything you can.
Everything, and just don't get like things that one time using.
How long does it take to create one doll?
If I work only in one doll, like full time on it, it probably takes me 15 days with all the details, and like it also depends. Like some people have much more, like it depends on the outfit, but usually I'll say 15 days.
But you're really good at what you do. And do you get special orders as well?
I am not taking orders at the moment. It's really complicated to take orders because people see my work and they think I'm a 3D machine, and I'm not.
Now you can 3D print everything, but this is so much more, detailed, and it's really made by you, and it's one of a kind piece. So people should realize that this is art.
Yeah.
Art takes a long time to make,
Yeah,
and then a lot of love and devotion. I know all about it.
Some of them are my private collection. I don't sell them, especially the ones that are signed. When they are available for sale, I post it online. I post it on my Facebook page. Usually they go on auction. I put on auction, and or if some people see them, they're not for sale yet, and then just make me an offer.
Did you sell quite a few?
I have a hard time selling my music collection because I love them so much and I want to keep them. All the ones that I put available for sale, I sell very fast. I have 4 of them that are already in a gallery in London, and they will be available for selling soon. As soon as they get back from London, I'm going to sell them, including Fred Mercury.
Which doll is your favorite?
Doc. I think. Well, I mean, my domestic violence, the meaning of them is my favorite, but as a doll, like the details and things, I think it's still Doc. I also love Slash because he also signed the sculpture, and Slash is like my idol since I was 13 years old. That's why I sculpted him.
You have work in progress right here.
Yeah, this is I made online with my students in Portuguese. And it was their pick. They wanted to make Angelina. I think everybody wants to make Angelina Jolie face. Like,
must be the lips. I really had a good time in your mini studio with all these miniatures around us. It makes me feel, I don't know, I'm in a fantasy world.
I'm glad you like it, and I love it too. That's where I spend most time of my life. It's in this studio here.
Art doesn't have to have limitations in size. It can be really, really large or can be really, really tiny. Let your imagination go wild and be inspired by Stella Studio. See you next week.